Hey guys, welcome to the SimRacingPaddock. I'm William Marsh, and this is WRC 8 by Kylotonn Racing and Big Ben Interactive. This is the latest iteration in the official racing title of the World Rally Championship, and it's looking to build off the advancements that were in WRC 7. Does it go the extra mile to create a more engaging rally experience? Let's take a look. I didn't dive too deep into WRC 7 when it was released 2 years ago, but there was definitely no denying that it had a decent foundation and was a decent rally racing title for people who are interested in the premier rally championship. WRC 8 does a great job adding to its predecessor, helping to create a well-rounded racing title. Improvements to the driving feel and the career mode are the major highlights to flesh out the experience to a level that could appeal to more people than just the die-hard WRC fans. However, there are just a few decisions that Kylotonn made that just leave me scratching my head and wondering, why did they do that? WRC 8 features official cars and rallies from the 2019 World Rally Championship, as well as their feeder series such as the WRC 2 and Junior WRC Championships. 14 rally locations are available to be raced at, featuring over 100 stages. 50 teams are available spanning the 3 different championships, with a total car roster of 14 vehicles. One thing that is slightly irritating is that the extracurricular roster is quite light, with only 4 non-modern WRC cars being available in the base game. 2 more cars were locked initially as a pre-order bonus, and then 1 more 3-car pack being released alongside the main game. I know it's just the state of game development in this day and age, but to see content on release day locked behind a paywall, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The stage design though, it almost allows me to forgive them. The stages in WRC 8 are very well done and really encapsulates the treacherous environments that these cars have to race through. The courses are incredibly narrow at times, and it makes for a thrilling experience. The flow through the courses is also natural, which is a great compliment for a rally racing title. My only complaint about it is that after being spoiled by the terrain deformation in Dirt Rally 2, driving on near pristine stages nearly every time just makes it feel a little sterile. Visually, WRC 8 looks pretty darn impressive. The lighting engine does a great job of showing off the details and elements in the car models and the stages. With my RTX 2070 graphics card, I'm able to run this title quite well at 3440 by 1440 with frame rates above 60 at high settings, or when I'm running at 1080p, I can run it easily maxed out. The only minor complaint I would have is that there is noticeable pop-in of distant items and details. Apart from that, I haven't really had any complaints with the title visually. From a driving standpoint, WRC 8 is a fairly solid rally racing game. It's not at a true rally simulation physics standpoint as, say, Richard Burns Rally, but the underlying physics model is fairly believable. The cars have a nice feel to them, and when you get them into a bit of a slide, it's fairly intuitive to control them through it. Personally, I still prefer the physics in Dirt Rally 2, but I'm alright with the driving physics in this. Where WRC 8 really starts struggling is when things get a little hectic, which is usually something that happens in a rally event. While all 4 wheels are on the ground, things are pretty decent and the physics feel solid. However, if you get on 2 wheels or start wrecking, that's where things get a little haywire. For example, the rollover physics just feel very unusual. If I had to compare to another racing title, I'd likely compare to the physics in Gran Turismo 5 or Assetto Corsa. Rollovers can happen on occasion, but they look very clunky and unrealistic. Going off of that, I've just noticed that the damage model in general is very inconsistent. Technically speaking, the damage engine is really well done, simulating various mechanical elements of the car that can break or malfunction or just go wrong. When you're driving a rally stage and something does go wrong, it can create a true challenge and it's an enjoyable experience. Limping a car around a stage with a flat tire is an achievement in itself. My issue is, when those malfunctions and failures occur can be very inconsistent. At times, I've slammed into a wall at over 100 miles an hour, barrel rolled through the stage, and drove away relatively unscathed. Then, in another run, I'll have a relatively low speed collision and will have completely totaled my car. It just seems like the damage model could be slightly more refined and tweaked to create a more consistent experience. For most of my testing in WRC 8, I used my SimiCube 2 Pro direct drive wheel as well as my Thrustmaster TS-PC racer. Both wheels worked fairly well and gave a decent force feedback feel through the wheels. I was not a major fan of how configuring the controls is handled though. While they did revamp the configuration utility and it does work as advertised, it just feels somewhat clunky and unintuitive. One of the major highlights of this latest release is the new career mode, and that has definitely been fleshed out and improved. The system gives me a strong Codemasters F1 vibe, where you start at the bottom, pick your team, choose research and development paths, and then move up the ranks until you're in the top tier WRC championship. There are some welcome additions as well, such as the training events and the extreme conditions challenges, which basically throws you into a rally racer's worst nightmare and you fight through a stage segment with a nearly destroyed car in horrible weather conditions. That can be a true challenge, but oh man, can just be so rewarding. Career mode feels like a definite improvement over what was in WRC 7. If there was one thing I would just knock it on, it's the fact that you can only either start in Junior WRC or test into the WRC 2 Championship. I wish there was a way you could just jump into the WRC class and run that championship, but I can understand why they would want you to prove yourself before jumping to the top class. Also, there is the season mode that you can do, but it's not really the same. Before we get to my closing thoughts, I want to talk about another thing I feel WRC 8 does well, and that's the weather. One of the new additions to WRC 8 is dynamic weather, and it works really well. The conditions will change over the course of a rally event, and it's created some very memorable moments for me. For example, going from a bright day to a heavy storm with minimal visibility was quite an experience and a heck of a lot of fun. You can also set your own scripted weather if you want to change your own stuff, but sometimes it's just more fun to tackle the unknown. So those are my main thoughts on what WRC 8 has to offer, and before we get into my closing thoughts, let's touch on some additional notes. The cars in WRC 8 sound great. The sounds have good depth to them, and they seem to be mixed fairly well, and it just results in a great experience for your ears. There is no true triple screen support or virtual reality compatibility. After getting spoiled by Dirt Rally and being somewhat underwhelmed by Dirt Rally 2's VR support, this could have been a great opportunity to capitalize by adding VR support, and I'm really disappointed that they didn't. The co-driver does a decent enough job of informing you in the stages, but he just seems overexcited for some reason. Maybe he should lay off the caffeine pills before the stages. Off-course limits are absolutely brutal in this. There are times when I've barely gone off the stage and could have easily made my way back, and it'll just respawn me, tacking on a 9-second penalty. On the bright side, sometimes you'll just fly off the course and respawn before you had an opportunity to take on damage, so I guess that's a benefit? There is a test course location in WRC 8 similar to the Dirtfish location in Dirt Titles. There, you can hone and train your skills. This Titles version is far larger though and is quite fun to explore. The menus are decent enough to navigate, and technically there's mouse support, but you're really going to want to use a keyboard or map controls onto a wheel. WRC8 has the absolute worst field of view adjustment I have ever seen. The field of view only adjusts outside of the car, so your field of view could be totally out of whack to how it looks inside of the car. Also, you can't get your field of view nearly as close as where you would like to due to incredibly limited adjustment. So now that we have that out of the way, let's tackle the big question. Do I recommend WRC8? Well, if you're a major WRC fan, then this could be a great title for you to check out. Kylotonn and Big Ben have put out a surprisingly well-rounded rally title with quite a bit to offer. However, if you're into more variety or gravitate more towards the historic non-2019 rally side of things, then you'll likely be left wanting. The non-WRC content in this is quite svelte, and it's somewhat disappointing to see it that way. Dirt Rally 2 has a wider car roster, better physics, and other features that may appeal to more of the general rally fan. Also, if you're not a fan of Epic Games, WRC8 being an Epic Games exclusive might be a deal breaker as well. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that part. WRC8, a month and a half before its scheduled release, was unveiled to be an Epic Games Store exclusive for the first year of release. For some people, they'll not think much of it, but for others, that could be a deal breaker. For me, personally, I've had quite a few bad experiences with Epic Games, so if I wasn't sent this title to review, I likely wouldn't have gone out of my way to buy it. But all things considered, if you appreciate the WRC Championship or a decent rally game, and are willing to put up with some of the weird decisions that drag the title down a bit, and you're also willing to deal with Epic Games, then this could be a good rally title for you to enjoy. So those are my thoughts on WRC8. I would love to hear yours in the comments. Also, if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe down below so you can help keep us on track. For the Sim Racing Paddock, I'm William Marsh, and you have a good one.